Okay, so welcome back to UFOs Above Us. It's March 19th. I'm excited to do another moon structure video. Been a couple months since I've done this, so here's the picture we're going to look at today. And as we kind of look at this, I'm just going to point at some areas and objects that we'll look at. And I'm not going to be able to take the time to go over all the stuff I see in this picture because there's a bunch of it. So we're just going to do a few of them. But let's go ahead and zoom in and get started. We'll start up here in the upper right-hand corner. And the first thing I want to draw your attention to is this triangle. Now, with all these things I point out, I'm just sharing my opinion. I don't know what these things are, but that's kind of shaped like a TR3B. And as you zoom way in, you see it a little better. You can even see there's an object there. It almost looks like a delta-shaped craft sticking out to the side of it. It looks like buildings. This one in particular looks like a building. If you look carefully, you can even see what looks like doorways or windows right there to the side of it. So it certainly does not look naturally occurring to me. I don't know what it is, but I don't think it's naturally occurring. And if you look at all the stuff around it, there's some other interesting things, but one of them in particular caught my attention. So, I want to take some time and at least focus on this one object over here that stands out to me. So there's a light source, by the way. And I don't know what that light source is, but if you've ever used a telescope on the moon, you've seen them. So here's a zoom in of it, as close as I can get. You figure out what that, look at the three dots there, aren't those interesting? Okay, so I don't know what that is, but in that same general area of the light source, I can't help but notice this right here. Here's a giant square frame. If you look carefully, especially on a big monitor, zoomed all the way in here, you'll see a big square frame jutting up from the surface of the moon. Even this X pattern to the side of it, and then on top of that square frame is this giant black, kind of pearl-shaped object. So I ask you, how can you say the moon is a dead cold rock if there's a giant, thousands of feet long square odd pad with a giant black ball sitting on top of it with that X pattern on the side? Could that be somehow involved with that light source there to the side of it? I think maybe it is. What the link is between that and that light source, I don't know. But if you see light sources on the moon, train your eye to look for those square pads with those big balls on them. Maybe they're somehow linked to some energy source. Again, looking at some other objects here, I'm not going to take the time to point out. Just as we talk, I'm going to point things as catch my eye. Because I want to keep this to 10 minutes or less. Less would be even better, maybe 8 minutes this time. So we're just looking at some areas that are interesting to me. And we'll kind of cursor along as we go here, scroll through the picture. Again, that giant black pearl looking thing. What is that? Honestly, I'd like to know. What are your thoughts? So again, we're going to kind of look at some other areas. I was just looking to see if maybe that was another one, but it doesn't look like it to me. It looks more like a crater or a passage to the underneath the surface, whatever. Okay, so here's something I'm not going to share what I think it is. I'm going to leave it up to you. But look at that area right there and see what you think. I'm going to zoom out so you can see it there. And then as we zoom in, just look at the features of that object right there. And you draw your own conclusion as to what you think that might be. I don't know the answers, but I'll leave it up to you. There is a long something there with some things sticking out. And this oval right here kind of reminds me of this giant oval right here. You notice there's two indentions, one there, one there. Then something sticking out right here with two indentions down at the bottom of it. That might give you a hint to what it is, but I'll leave it up to you. I don't want to talk about that one. Okay, so some more things that I'll just kind of point at as we go there. There's an interesting one there. Not sure what that is. Kind of looking along here. There's another interesting object. This is the one that was interesting to me, though. See that oval right there with the kind of the light color in the front and those flamey looking things in the back, and then that big triangle sitting on top of it right there? What is that? Kind of reminds me of some type of a craft. But I don't know what those would be. Kind of look like flames, but I don't know. There shouldn't be flames on the moon. So I'm not sure what that is, but it was interesting. Some interesting stuff here beside it. Again, I don't know how any of this is related, but it doesn't look naturally occurring. It stood out to me. When you zoom out and look at it, it's really noticeable as something intelligently designed, I'll say. What is that right there? I don't know. Okay, so just kind of looking at that area, there's a lot of stuff there we could take time looking at, but I don't want to. So we'll just kind of let you look at it as we go. Does that look naturally occurring to you? Certainly doesn't to me. Picture it, the left side's the front, that back side with the flamey looking stuff is the back. Spacecraft. That's what it looks like to me. So then kind of looking at some of these other areas of interest here. Man, there's a lot of stuff I could talk about. I just don't want to take too much time. We're already over 5 minutes, so I'll let you look at some of these as we go. You know, there's some interesting patterns. Well, there's a nice triangle right there in the upper part, center of the picture is nice. Triangle, what's that? Another triangle. Weird patterns, boy, aren't they? So if you want to freeze the frame and look at this on your own computer, you can see a lot of stuff there. But I'm trying to finish up quickly, so we'll just kind of let you look at these at your leisure on your own, and I'll finish up here. So when you zoom in, there's another object here I wanted to at least point out. In addition to the spacecraft looking thing, if you look carefully at this, and I'm brightening it up a little, right here almost looks like some kind of a cylinder projecting up out of the surface of the moon with a oval or a flattened top. Look at that right there. What is that? Okay, zooming out. What is that area, right? That thing there with that cylinder looking base. Don't know what it is, but when you zoom in, certainly does not look naturally occurring to me. What about y'all? Yeah, no, I don't know what that is, but it looks odd to me. All right, I do want to finish up looking at this object because it caught my attention and it led me to something even more interesting. So this object, when you brighten up the, I'm going to do the brightness here. So let me zoom in a little, center this. Okay, that's about good. And then we hit the brightness over here. Now let's do a little more contrast to really make it pop. That might be a little too much. Go back down a little. Kind of like it better bright, so let's push it back up. All right, so let's look at this area right in here. What do you think that is? Again, it's past the terminator line. It should be dark, and yet it's light. So it caught my attention. But then as I brightened up this brightness all the way, look at this area to the left of that object. Right in here. I'm going to zoom it in, and you just, for you critical thinkers out there, when I zoom this in, you should see something here. Something very out of the ordinary. Again, this is past the terminator line and the darkness of the moon. What does that look like to you? You know, for UFOs above us, this is Matt, reminding everybody to keep watching the skies. The answers we're all seeking, well, they're really up there if you just take the time to look for them.